Welcome everybody here, Brady here from BGWX, and here for, as promised, a breakdown here of the upcoming weekend storm, kind of quickly go over what's happening tonight, and this morning, whatever you want to call it, and then transition to this weekend, and then briefly discuss storm potential next week. Just snow train, whatever you want to call it, the winter storm train continues. There's a lot to talk about. Trying to give myself a little bit of a break, but still put a video out, and that was the idea behind this. So no live stream, like obviously, because we're past that, but a video breakdown as promised. So without further ado, let's get started here. Again, if you're new to the channel, potentially consider subscribing, hit the like. Also, it helps tremendously. Sorry to shamelessly plug, but it really does help a lot here. I really love this stuff, so all the help is appreciated here on YouTube. So here's what we got going on right now. So you can see that trough again. Too strong of a ridge, you can see over there, the Atlantic, so that ridge is allowing this thing to really cut northeast, but not before. We had a nice little front-end thump. You can see that moisture out ahead, and I've actually gotten about an inch of snow at least. I think I'll end up with an inch to an inch and a half of snow here as we're about to transition to sleet in a little bit here. I'll go take that second measurement. We've been snowing since about 7 o'clock here, so a lot of probably a half-inch to 3-inch totals across a lot of southern New England and central New England, if I had to guess. And then northern New England may be able to get at least a few more inches than that. But not a bad system. But that sets the stage then for this weekend. So freezing rain is concerned, though, for the morning commute, especially in the interior, well northwest of 95, or along 495 and northward of 90 as well. That's the concern for freezing rain at the surface below freezing. Above the surface, warm nose that allows for rain to develop, freeze on contact on the surface because it's below freezing. That's freezing rain, for example. So then we transition. So as the storm moves through here, you can see that. And again, we're zoomed out well, so we can see. I like be able to see the whole friggin' big picture, just be able to see it all here. And what we got cooking here is what's left over is a little TPV piece associated along the confluence tail. I know some big words. Some people I know really don't like it when I get too big. But yeah, let's break it down here. So this is the TPV, we call it tropospheric polar vortex, basically, or you could call it the polar vortex if you wanted to as well, even though not the abbreviation. But what you have here is, here's the current storm that's moving through currently, and then here is this press of the TPV. So we set up this big high pressure in place out ahead of this system, and then we drop in this big trough here in the western U.S. This is what sets up this weekend winter storm potential here, and this will be a significant winter storm as well, I might add. This will not be nonchalant by any means. You can see this is a dynamic piece of upper level energy here. We do have this ridge, this big ridge you can see in place here. And then the key is then, you can see with this ridge here, the question then becomes, how much is this able to work through this TPV in our high pressure? That is the key here. And I think what we're seeing is models overestimate how much this is going to be able to amplify. And I think we're going to have some possible. So what you're seeing on models right now is, let's go to a difference here. So here's the Euro AI, for example. And then here is, we'll go to, compared to just the regular Euro. And there's not a huge, massive difference, but it makes a big difference in terms of the setup itself. But compare that to the Euro AI, and you can see a little bit of a difference here. Now, what stands out here is we're able to stay a little bit colder, a little bit longer on a Euro AI, for example. Let's compare it a little bit easier maybe with the GFS. There we go. In the Euro AI, and you can see there's a little bit more of a press from the other system. So the key, what we're watching here is right here. We'll zoom back in with the screenshot. The key that we're watching here is a couple things. The press in the confluence, meaning how much does this storm press on the other storm, what's left over, and then the TPV lobe here, where's the location? How much does this press as well? The further southeast this goes, the more this presses and forces the precip further southeast, and will force this also to consolidate a little bit further south. So it's not necessarily a completely weaker storm. We're just delaying amplification, so to say. And then this puts the focus then on places further south and east. And I think there's a real opportunity here between these two things. Models have continuously underestimated the press of these TPV lobes throughout the winter, more so in recent times. And I think there is definitely an opportunity here for this TPV lobe potentially, or regardless, either of the two of these things to work against this. And it's going to be really hard to work this through that high pressure and the pressing from our previous storm and the TPV lobe. And I'm expecting some changes here for potentially a little bit colder of a solution that will allow anywhere really northwest of 95 into the interior, especially. I think an opportunity to see not only just a front end thump of snow Saturday evening, but potentially an all out snowstorm as well, especially into the interior as well of the Northeast. But that would be the definite focus with this. But you can't rule out front end thump even into the northern mid Atlantic here. I wouldn't be shocked if we had some front end thump potential at least. So let's keep following this closely, and I really think that the operationals are starting to come closer, but I think we're really going to see we might see some changes here, some model noise. Remember, our current storm has to wrap up first, and then our current energy is actually going to be coming ashore today and tomorrow. So, but really by Friday, we see this thing fully come ashore here. And that's when things will hopefully start to get a little bit clearer. We can get a little bit better idea of how this plays out. But I'm very interested to see how this plays out. And you're wondering, well, Brady, you're talking about it, how much snow? I think there's a potential here for this to be at least double-digit totals for some places. Yes, I'm very that this is a dynamic system. Look at I mean, you can just see the upper level energy. It's very strong. It stands out, obviously, compared to this, right? It's a little bit messier, weaker, and it's still producing a good amount of snow into the Midwest. And you see our previous system was just a strung out piece of vorticity, basically, along that southeast ridge there. And now we're going to be able to really wrap a dynamic system in. And that's going to allow, I think, northwest of 95, especially in the corridor in the Northeast, I think there's going to be an opportunity for double-digit snowfall potential and at least 6+ inch potential with this, maybe as well, if you're not able to be snow for as long as other people. So even if you were just a front-end thump, so to say, there is definitely some plowable snow potential with this. And the timing, again, would be Saturday into Sunday. That would be the time frame that we would be watching this. It would more so be Saturday p.m. Late Saturday into Sunday would be the focus of this for the Northeast. I'll just show you the precipitation. For example, here you can see that there would be late Saturday into Sunday evening and maybe even into Monday morning, depending on where exactly you live. So it's a large system, a long duration system. There will be mixed ice potential along with this. So there is a lot of different hazards and potentially rain along the coast as well, and maybe strong wind you can't even rule out, right? Because this is going to be a dynamic low pressure system wherever this hits, right? This isn't missing out off to sea, so someone's going to be getting the wind with this as well, probably. So it's a high impact system as well across the Midwest. Severe weather potential with this as well, which we'll be focusing more on the winter impacts here. But then this sets the stage here, right? This disruption in the flow, this kind of sets the stage here for a little bit variation in the pattern. And then we start watching another system next week. Now, notice what starts happening here. I want to briefly talk about the idea here, and I won't get too much into the specifics, but the idea here is that, so let's get a screenshot here. Last time I tried this, I stopped the recording, so bear with me here. I had to re-edit this part in, but remember, so this is our weekend system here, really wraps up, and then the question becomes here, this tail end here, again, another TPV lobe, so, fun times, that means cold air is in place, that's for sure, at least, to work with. And then it depends on storm track. So we see this disruption, you see this waviness in the flow here. Anytime we see that in dynamic upper level energy, we always have something to watch, no doubt. And we have Atlantic ridging present as well. Atlantic ridging present as well. And the question here then starts becoming, so this system starts moving out of the way, how much can this Atlantic ridging build back in? It's definitely a question here. If the Atlantic ridging can build back in more, this can allow time for this to potentially slow down, amplify, and then we're talking about a storm that could work all the way from the south to the mid-Atlantic, off the coast, and we would be talking about a high impact system here from the mid south potentially all the way into New England. So and this is really right now I would call it a low floor, high ceiling impact setup for next week, and this is about a week out, and the focus would be Wednesday to Friday next week, kind of. And you can see here that the Euro AI picking up on this a little bit. And again, the question is, how much can this Atlantic ridging build back in? And then also the interaction and the location, again, of another TPV, right? This polar vortex lobe here in this upper level energy that drops in as well. The stream interactions, I'll take it off there for a second. You can see another a piece of upper level energy drops in there across the northern U.S. And you could argue that, maybe the Norm Macdonald rule comes in and it's going to want to, where it goes in off the coast, that's where it's going to want to exit in terms of latitude region and come back up. So that is one thing we have working with us here, is potentially how it really drops into the northern U.S. and drops in a significant amount of latitude, meaning, what do I mean by that? Let me make it clearer. Drops in a significant amount of latitude, it's going to want to rise back up. So, just so that's, just a little, doesn't always apply depending on the setup. Obviously, the Norm Macdonald rule, it doesn't also have anything to do with specific in terms of latitude, just where it enters off the west coast, where it tends to exit off the exit latitude in the east coast. So that's just, sometimes you can look at that. But again, the idea is negative NAO in place, 50-50 low setup, and Atlantic ridging present. Question is, how much is it able to build back in the interaction with our TPV lobe and the upper level energy here? What kind of stream interaction can we get there? And these pieces all around will help define that as well. So they all go hand in hand, and there's definitely some potential here. I'm not going to say anywhere is favored quite yet. I'm just going to highlight where. I think it's too early to do that, but let's keep a close eye on this, and there's certainly some high impact potential with this system. And throughout February, I think there will be more storm threats as well, so we're not done yet. So that's what we got going on. Look out for a live stream later tonight. We'll be going live likely. Again, hit that like if you don't mind. Consider subscribing if you're new, and I appreciate you all tuning in. You all don't know how much this means to me, so it's awesome to see the growth we've had here. I appreciate you all, and